Hi, welcome to another video. Today, I want to dig into a bigger MCP question that's been buzzing all over AI Twitter and dev circles. Do you actually need MCP servers for day-to-day agent work? Or can you get farther with small, composable tools that your agent already understands? The headline here is token efficiency and developer control. Basically, what it does is let you keep your agent fast, cheap, and smart by leaning on Bash and tiny node scripts instead of hauling in a big MCP manifest into your context, which is kinda cool. Quick personal context. I haven't covered MCP a lot on this channel because I didn't really believe it fit my workflows. It eats tokens, it's heavy, and the popular servers try to cover all bases, which turns into massive tool lists with verbose descriptions. However, MCP can still be good for companies. Many orgs won't hand out raw API access, yet they'll approve an MCP server with guardrails that can fetch internal data safely, which is quite awesome. So there's that. But for solo work or small teams, you can save a ton of tokens by embracing Bash and code. Now, let's transition into a hands-on walkthrough and get geeky about the tooling. In the blog we're looking at, I'll show the specific tools and why they matter. The author calls out a pretty big bummer up front. Popular MCP servers like Playwright MCP and Chrome DevTools MCP ship big catalogs. Playwright MCP has 21 tools using around 13.7 thousand tokens, which they say is roughly 6.8% of Claude's context window. Chrome DevTools MCP has 26 tools using around 18.0 thousand tokens, about 9.0% of the window. Before you've done anything, you've burned a huge slice, and when you combine multiple MCP servers with built-in tools, agents get confused. Worse, MCP outputs often have to round-trip through the agent's context, which inflates tokens and hurts composability. In contrast, the minimal toolkit here is a concise README plus a handful of node scripts using Puppeteer core. The README clocks roughly 225 tokens. The agent already knows Bash and JavaScript, so it understands how and when to call the scripts. That's insanely good compared to the 13 to 18,000 token manifest approach, and it is very similar to the classic Unix philosophy. Small tools, pipes, files, which is pretty good. So, let me show what's actually in this toolkit. First up, start.js. You can just go to your terminal and run start.js for a fresh profile, or start.js -- profile to copy your real Chrome profile into a temp directory so you stay logged in across sites. Basically, what it does is kill any running Chrome, set up a cache directory under your home, optionally rsync the application support /Google/Chrome profile into that cache so subsequent runs are fast, and then spawn Chrome with remote debugging on port 9.222 and a user data dir pointing at the cache. It loops until Puppeteer.connect succeeds against http://localhost:9222, then prints a success line. I mean, I liked it because it's deterministic and honest. There's no RPC schema to wrangle, no skill catalog to parse, just a known port and a simple contract the agent can reason about, which is kinda cool. Next tool, nav.js. You run nav.js, space the URL to navigate the current tab, or add space -- new to open a new tab under the hood. It connects with Puppeteer core, grabs the active page, basically the last one returned by pages, and calls goto with wait until DOM content loaded output is clean, like opened or navigated. It's fast, legible, and avoids the tool explosion problem. If you remember our previous demos, This maps to how agents think about page actions. Do the thing. Confirm the thing. No 20 variants of click. Wait. Hover with dietary requirements. Third, evil.js. This is the big composability. When you run evil.js, space your JavaScript, like document.title or document.querySelector, all open paren close paren.length. The script constructs an async function in the page context and evaluates your code. If the result is an array or object, it prints key value pairs. Otherwise, it prints the scalar. Basically, what it does is let the agent write plain DOM code, which models already know. That means less token overhead for descriptions and fewer decisions about which tool to call, and since you can save outputs to disk, you don't have to stream large results through the prompt. It is very similar to how we've been doing client-side DOM work with light CDP harnesses, which is pretty good. Fourth, screenshot.js. Connect, grab the active page, take a viewport screenshot, write it to the OS temp directory with a time-stamped file name, and print the path your agent then reads the image from disk and uses vision. I really liked it because it's minimal, but hits exactly what you need without a giant manifest. Also, since images are files, they don't sit in your context unless you choose to send them, saving cost, which is kinda cool. Now the fun extra, pic.js. You run pic.js, space a friendly message like, click the submit button. The script injects a window.pic helper and overlays a banner and a highlight rectangle that follows the cursor. You click to select, use Command or Control, plus click to multi-select, press Enter to finish, or Escape to cancel. It returns structured info for each selected element, including tag, ID, class, trimmed text, a parents chain, and a snippet of outer HTML. Basically, what it does is let you share intent visually. If you're scraping, you mark titles, anchors, or metadata spans, and let the agent convert that into robust CSS selectors or XPath and synthesize a deterministic scraper. It is very similar to those classic DevTools pickers, but here it lives in the same context your agent is already controlling, which is quite awesome. I liked it. Let me stitch the workflow together as the author describes it. You can just go to your terminal, create a folder called agent-tools in your home, clone individual tool repos inside, like the browser tools we've talked about. Then set an alias that appends those tool directories to path when you launch your agent CLI. For example, you might launch a Claude code session with a temporary path and a skip permissions flag in a trusted setup. To avoid name collisions, prefix each script with the tool name, like browser-tools, -start.js, and browser-tools, -nav.js. Add a single line in the README, telling the agent these scripts are globally available. Then, in Claude Code, add the agent tools directory as a working directory, so you can reference at readme.md directly and pull it into context on demand. The result is that your agent knows the minimal commands, uses them via bash, and avoids constant directory changes or giant skill manifests. I really liked it and have been using it. That's why I thought to share it with you guys as well, which is pretty good. Strengths: fewer tokens, higher composability, rapid customization. If an output format isn't token efficient, you tweak the script. If a site's DOM shifts, you use pic.js to remark elements and regenerate selectors. You chain invocations, save artifacts, and process them later with TypeScript, Python, Bun, Go, or even feed them into a local VLLM pipeline. This is the classic small tool story, and it works insanely well with agents, which is kinda cool. So, why would MCP still be good? In many company services, it won't hand out raw internal APIs or local file system access, but they'll approve MCP servers that act as brokers. These can fetch more data safely with role-based permissions, curated routes, and auditability, which is quite awesome. If that's your environment, MCP might be the right abstraction. However, even there, be mindful of the token footprint. If a server's tool descriptions weigh in at 13 to 18,000 tokens, that's 6.8 to 9.0% of your window burned on metadata trim descriptions, load capabilities on demand, and push results into artifacts so your agent reads files instead of bloating the prompt. That pragmatic tuning goes a long way. Concluding thoughts. I didn't cover MCP much. The overhead, tokens, and cognition felt like a bummer, but it's not black and white. MCP can be awesome when governance or access constraints demand it. My practical recommendation is to default to the small composable toolkit highlighted in the blog: start.js, nav.js, evil.js, screenshot.js, plus pick.js, and a cookies helper, and bring in MCP only when your constraints truly require it. Keep outputs on disk, keep readmes tight, and let the agent do what it's already good at: bash and code. Overall, it's pretty cool. Anyway, share your thoughts below and subscribe to the channel. You can also donate via Super Thanks option or join the channel as well and get some perks. I'll see you in the next video. Bye.